how do you get someone's attention? Experts get paid more, and they tend to be able to work less. There's a little part of your brain called the RAS, Reticular Activating System. And the reticular activating system, small little portion of your brain, but it is the attention gateway. It allows us to filter out 90% of the information that comes to us and focus in on those 1 or 2 bits of information that we deem as important. If you can't activate the RAS in your target audience, the people that are going to hire you as a writer, then you'll never be able to grab their attention. You'll never be able to validate to them that you're an expert. You'll never be able to get them inspired to want to work with you. It's basically game over.
Game over.
You have to know how to activate the RAS trigger. Now, how do you do this? Well, the good part about it is it's actually a lot more simple than you think. All you need to do is you have to know what's important to your target audience. But there are a couple things that will always be important. So number one, it will always be important them personally. So anything about them personally. So for an example, often when I want to get attention for one of my target audience, one of my potential clients on LinkedIn, I will go and look up some quotes or testimonials or recommendations that were given about them. And I will say something like, "Hey, John, I saw that Fred said this about you," or complimented you and said, "You're the world's greatest marketer. And I really was impressed by that. I'd love to connect. Thanks." Now, as soon as I say his name, and as soon as I make reference to something that's important to him, himself, then I've immediately activated his RAS trigger. What else could be important to your target audience? Well, their company. So if they're an owner of a company or a marketing director, or a content manager, or whatever the case may be, then anything related to that company, their employment, is going to be important to them. It'll be labeled as important to them. What else could be important to them? Hobbies, likes, desires. So if you look on their Facebook profile or their LinkedIn profile and you see that they're associated with maybe a scuba diving group, you know that scuba diving is labeled as important to that person and that there's something that you could zero in on. You talk about scuba diving, you're going to immediately have their attention. Good thing is the internet has made this amazingly easy to pull this information out and to discover what people like and what they're associated with and who likes them and what other people say about them. Now, how do you actually activate it? Well, there are 5 specific ways to activate the RAS inside the brain. Number 1, pictures, images. If I were to see a picture of my wife on the beach or swimming or dancing or something, no matter where I was, I would probably pay attention to that. My eye would catch onto it, recognize her face, and go, "That's your wife, you better pay attention." Also, we do this in words. So one time I was at a party and there's all this noise and confusion going on, lots of people talking, you know how parties are, there's some music going and everything was just loud. And I heard someone off to the side of me say the word Christine Boswell. Well, Christine Boswell happens to be my mother's name. My mother is definitely important to me. And so I immediately, "What did you say?" And I turned over there and I went to find the person. It arrested my attention because it was important to me. So words have a power in them. 2 words, that's all it takes. What else grabs our RAS and wakes it up? Music. You ever walked into a building and music's going and you're like, "Oh," you remember a dance that you had with a sweetheart in high school to that song. It was like, that was our song. And it immediately grabs your attention. Smells. Walk into a restaurant and, I've never drank coffee before, but my grandparents were avid coffee drinkers. And every time I smell the smell of coffee, I think of Grandma and Grandpa's house and it catches my attention. Touch. So being touched a certain way, hugged a certain way. So these 5 things are the ways that you can grab attention. Now, as writers, we focus predominantly on number 1 and 2, pictures, images, and words. And as we're building out our expert status and we want to grab people's attention, we're going to look at the pictures we use and the words we say. the vocabulary, the jargon. Now remember I talked about what the definition of a niche was in our first session? That it was a group of people that were easy to contact, that spoke the same business or social jargon. Can you see now why that particular part is so important? Because when we know their jargon, when we know their vocabulary, we know what's important to them, and we can grab their attention using their own language, okay? Now, we're going to activate the RAS, the reticular activating system, in our potential clients in two specific ways. In other words, we're going to activate it for two specific reasons. Reason number one, we're going to activate it to grab their attention, right? Number two, we're going to use the RAS triggers to create expert status. So we're going to fire off in their brain the signals and the indicators that say, hey, this person is clearly an expert. So we're going to get into more specifics about how we do that here in the following sessions, but just know that when you're grabbing their attention, you're talking about things that are important to them. Their name, things that people have said about them, their company, their habits, their likes, their interests, their desires. And we're going to utilize that to get their attention. But once we have their attention, we need to show them that we're experts in our field. And remember how we do that? We do that through social proof. We do that by credentials, and we do that by demonstrating experience and or results that we've gotten. And we do that in a way that shows them that we're connected with their industry. So if we're going after a nonprofit organization, we'll do something to grab their attention and then show them how we're either have expertise and training in a given industry, we have experience or results in an industry, or other people have said nice things about us and have validated that we are an expert in that industry. And so we're going to use those three things targeted to our specific audience to help them be aware that we are experts and they should hire us. They're going to be dying to hire us. They're going to beg to hire us because we're experts and we have specialized knowledge that help them get the end results that they want. So that is the RAS trigger. Now your assignment for this session is simply to think about to do a little bit of research and find out things that people are interested in. Let's find out a little bit about their company and what their company is doing, and find out a little bit about them personally. You can do that research, you can find out those triggers, look for images, look for words that would activate their RAS triggers, and then be ready to implement those in our next session. Talk to you soon. Bye now.